Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be unboxing a CRT monitor. Now, this CRT monitor is one of the most obscure and infamous monitors because it's the first time I'm hearing of a brand named Pegasus, which you can see on the box. Strangely enough, I couldn't find anything about this monitor. But I did find a monitor similar to this, called the ProView DX777K, which looked similar to this monitor. The only difference was it wasn't called the Pegasus. But anyways, that's another video on its own. Right now, we're just unboxing this and seeing how this looks. Now in here, ladies and gentlemen, I had a little bit of a problem. I was struggling to get this out of the box because, let's admit it, CRTs were heavy and are heavy. But after unboxing it and removing these foams, it was time for me to put on the monitor stand. And doing so, I then moved it to the middle so the camera could capture it. And here we are. This monitor might look small to you guys, but close enough. In real life, this thing is very big. Not bigger than a 21-inch CRT monitor, but it is big and takes space. But then again, that was how CRTs were. But it looks great, not gonna lie. It looks almost brand new, which could mean this monitor could last me a very long time. Unless, of course, it came out during the bad capacitor era that we had during the 2000s, then there might be a chance that this might not live a long life. Anyways guys, that was it. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry. Alright. That was not the end. Come on. Please come back. Don't leave. I'm sorry. Oh, you're back? Oh, okay, good. We can start the video. Or at least, that's how this video was gonna end. If I then arrogantly say CRT monitors can't be better than modern LCDs, LEDs, or OLEDs in that matter. And honestly, you guys thought the same thing before you bought and used the CRT monitor or the CRT TV. Yes, CRT TVs were also great for those who played old Sega Genesis console games and PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 games. It looked better on those than on a modern display. It looked better on a CRT TV than on an LCD or an OLED in that matter. Can't believe I'm even saying that. Old technology looks... old technology can still do some things that modern technology can't do. Well, modern displays. When it comes to technologies, I'm talking about displays. Anyways, I use this CRT monitor, which I've unboxed in this video already, called Pegasus. Now, by the way, nobody knows or has ever heard of this brand before. This name is just weird to me as well. All it does is just reminds me of Pegasus from Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah. Anyways, to tell you the truth though, on the spec list, which are it's said on the box that I unboxed. No, it isn't in the lines of what the Sony GDM FW900 is, you know. It's not in the lines of that monitor. I wish I had a monitor like that. That monitor would have kind of gave me more of a, you know, chance to experience the high-end tech, high-end CRT from back then, to jump into a better conclusion for this video. But this monitor does it too. You know, this monitor does the job as well. It's not bad. The quality, you know, the resolutions, the quality, you know, it doesn't get blurry, even though it's a monitor from 2005, which is the, you know, capacitor era, and basically the era of the year where monitors, like CRT monitors, looked like shit. You know, they looked terrible, they looked horrible, and all that stuff. But, you know, for a decent, I can say this, for a normal, decent low end or a mid range CRT monitor of that time, it looks great. It looks amazing. And this is supposed to be a low end, mid range CRT monitor, but it looks great. There was a catch, you know, when it comes to this type of stuff, this type of old technology, and that is, you know, we don't use VGA anymore on our, you know, modern graphics cards. And the last graphics card that, graphics cards that supported VGA, or sorry, had VGA ports on them, were the early Titan NVIDIA GPUs and the 700 series, and the AMD side, you know, AMD R9 300 200 series GPUs. So to achieve such a thing on my modern laptop, I had to use an HDMI to VGA adapter, which thankfully I had one. The adapter is Alphas, Alphas 4548 for those who don't know Turkish. Now, yes, I did use CRU, Custom Resolution Utility, to add the supported resolutions and some resolutions that make certain games look good on a CRT monitor, or just CRT monitors in general, which I'll get into later. However, with that said, how was my experience daily driving a CRT monitor? The last time I used a CRT monitor was 10 years ago, you know, fully. I used it fully, playing games and everything. And that was my cousin's CRT monitor, because what I had was a LG Flatron W1941S. What I can say about my experience, however, what I can say about the CRT monitor experience that I had 10 years later after 2015, 2014, it was amazing. And honestly, I might keep daily driving the CRT monitor until it inevitably stops working. I mean, this might be the last and only time that you know, me, myself personally, and you guys will ever use a CRT. And when I say a CRT, I'm talking about all the CRT displays. CRT monitors, CRT TVs, you know, those tiny PVMs, the tiny CRT PVM TVs, whatever they're called. Like every CRT. It might be the last time we're gonna use these displays. But yeah, but that's not why I brought up CRT monitors and CRT TVs. I know you guys want me to make a video on CRT TV. I can't. I already had a CRT TV and I gave it away. Which I'll explain in a little bit. Yes, I did buy a CRT TV, by the way. I did buy it like about 2-3 years ago. I wanted to play some PS2, PS1, and probably Sega Genesis games that I didn't get the chance to. But I did play PS1 games, and I did play Spider-Man 2, the movie game, on that CRT. It was a Sony Trinitron, thankfully. That meant I would be getting the best experience, and it was really great, as far as I can tell. I guess I already showed you guys the pictures of that TV. I got it very cheap. I got it for like $1 or $2, I believe, or 50 cents. I don't know. That's the equivalent. I'm trying to convert it to dollars because of where I live. We don't use dollar as our currency. We use Turkish lira. So yeah, it looked great, you know. And all I can say, it was awesome. I wish I made a video on it. I did have plans, but I couldn't because, for the love of God, I don't have a good phone holder or a camera. And when I say that, there was another reason: school. So, anyways, I had a lot of problems back then. And the reason why I sold, the CRT TV was it was too big, and it took a lot of space. You know, which my parents were like really pissed off. Actually not pissed off. They were actually annoyed. So I either had the choice to throw it away into a trash or somewhere, which I, for the love of God, I did not have it in me to do that. So what I did, I gave it away to someone on the marketplace, which I sold it for free, literally, because at the time that I sold that TV, it amounted to literally 5 cents. So yeah, I didn't make profit, and I didn't even give a damn about making a profit. I just wanted to someone have this and use it until the day it gives away and it dies. And that's the thing with old texts. They're gonna kind of have a lifespan of 2, 3, 5. If you're unlucky, it's a day or a month or just a year. But yeah, and talking about space, this is why we stopped using CRTs. They were, big, chunky, ugly. They took a lot of space. Uh, if you dropped it, you would injure yourself. If you dropped it on someone, you could actually kill them. So yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't fun carrying those things around. Hell, when I bought the CRT TV that I was talking about a little bit ago, I had to carry it from somewhere that was like a kilometer or so away from my home. I had to carry it from there to my home, and it was a pain. These things weren't a joke, they were so heavy. But they also had the best quality compared to modern displays. Now, when I say that, look, just listen to me. Just don't hit the dislike button. Listen to me. When I say that, I'm not saying, oh, uh, OLEDs are very, very horrible and CRTs are superior. No, I think you could say that both of them are great and both of them are equals. They both have their flaws and their perfections. Both of them have their pros and cons, is what I'm saying. So when it comes to OLED or just modern displays in general, the pros of them are they're really small. When I say small, they're really thin, and they take less space. They they're really lightweighted, so you can move them around all by yourself. If you're alone, you can do it yourself. You wouldn't need anybody's help. And they consume less power. They consume about like 10 to 30 watts. I mean, it depends on what kind of a display you bought. Not all of them not all of them consume like 10 watts. Some of them consume maybe 40 watts, something like that. But yeah, and the cons, and these are minor when it comes to cons. They're really small. You wouldn't even notice them, but I'm just going to talk about it. So the cons of a modern display is they don't have flicker. And when it comes to retro gaming, they don't have scan lines. They don't have any RF, composite, S-video signals for your old games. They don't have these presets or anything like that. And we're just talking about retro gaming here for a second. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing that the modern displays don't have. But you could add them using emulation or OSSC or one of those retro tinkers or something like that that they make. Another thing would be they have a native resolution. They have physical pixels that is kind of a problem for a game that you want to play, an old game that runs on Windows 10 or Windows 11 with community fixes, uh, it would be a problem for those games. Games that don't go any higher than a resolution of 1024 by 768, because running at that resolution, specifically with a 4K display for 4K monitor or 4K TV, that would be a very, very big problem. So yeah, and there is not much else to talk about. Oh yeah, maybe the blur that still exists on modern displays that is non-existent on a CRT monitor or CRT TV for that matter, I believe. Um, but yeah, well, what can I say? I mean, these are really small things that you can notice. I mean, you're not gonna notice it, honestly. So yeah, it's not that important. Unless you're really, really into retro gaming, that's when it's really, really noticeable. And if your game doesn't have any community patches, then you're kind of you're kind of forced into playing the game at a very, very low resolution, or it's gonna have a lot of problems. And you're like, I should play it on a console or something. If there is a console release of the game, which you can do that, and it'll fix the problems. You can do that. Anyways, um, then we have CRT. Now, when it comes down to the, CRT. When I say CRT, I'm talking about both CRT monitors and CRT TVs. Um, so the pros and cons you see here, the pros and cons. Uh, it applies to both uh, CRT monitor and the CRT TV. So I basically it didn't take me much to list all this. I wrote it down on a paper, so I might as well say this and say what the pros and cons of the CRT monitor and a TV is. So yeah. Anyways, let's start with the number one. Yes, I'm numbering them here. It's odd, but whatever. The first one is excellent motion clarity. So what does this mean? Um, it means fast response time. So CRTs have near instantaneous response times, reducing motion blur or ghosting. This makes them perfect for fast-moving visuals in video games, action movies, or anything else that has fast-moving visuals. So yeah, I mean, it's really great. I mean, compared to my laptop screen, it was really, really good. And I I gotta say though, I mean, if I didn't use a CRT, I wouldn't notice this. But after using a CRT monitor and then going back to my laptop screen, I really noticed this, and you know, it really shocked me because every time I play a game, I turn off motion blur and then I pan the camera and it feels like there's no motion blur, that there's this blur, and I'm saying, oh wait, I turned off motion blur. Why is it still using motion blur? And yeah, I mean, CRTs don't have that type of thing, and you know, that's a good thing for me. That's a plus on my book. This is what I'm saying. Anyways, no input lag, and what this means is CRT monitors and CRT TVs have extremely low input lag, which is important for competitive gaming or scenarios requiring fast reactions. Modern displays, often require additional things like G-Sync or FreeSync to manage input lag, which honestly gives the CRT a big win here when it comes to input lag. And really, with a CRT, you don't need, G-Sync or FreeSync to fix this, unless you're using bunch of converters. Unlike me, I'm using one converter, which kind of uh, gives it an input lag. I mean, if my laptop had a VGA port and I connected it from that VGA port to my CRT monitor that I have here, I would have I would have no input lag. But since I'm using an adapter, which this is the thing with adapters, there is a little bit of a delay, like uh, 0.5 milliseconds or something. Um, so yeah, the fast response time, that applies to fast response time as well. The In a way, I think. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's the case. But if your adapter is really good, that might not be the case. I mean, my adapter it's one of those $5 Chinese adapter, which is made in Turkey. So it makes sense. I mean, it was $5 when I got it, so yeah. Anyways, though, that's an interesting thing to know about modern displays and, CRTs. No input lag. Again, if you think that I'm lying here, I did notice a lot of things with the no input lag thing. I mean, again, 0.5 milliseconds of input lag compared to 3 milliseconds on my laptop screen. That was noticeable, even if it's so small. Like you're like 3 milliseconds. That's not a lot, man. You're not gonna notice that. But boy, oh boy, I noticed it, and it was really apparent. In video game, in a game like Counter-Strike 2, that was really apparent, and I got a lot of kills. Like there was this one game, I got 78 kills with a CRT monitor at a resolution of 640 by 480. But yeah, anyway. So the next thing I want to talk about or list here in the pros is no native resolution limit. So, CRTs don't have a fixed pixel grid like LCDs or OLEDs or any other modern displays that we have. This allows them to scale up or down across multiple resolutions without losing sharpness. This flexibility is just beneficial for working with different media formats or games at varying resolutions. So if I wanted to play a game like Commandos, right? Commandos, if anyone played it, good for you. It'll run at a max resolution of 1024 by 768 without patch, you know? If I was playing that game on a 4K resolution on a modern display that was its native resolution was 4K or 8K, whatever, and then the game only ran at 1024 by 768, it would look terrible. But say if I had a CRT, hell, even if it was a high-end CRT that had a resolution of 1920 by 1440, right? And I had to run Commandos on it at a resolution of 1024 by 768, it would still look great. Because no matter what resolution you run on a CRT, it will look great. There isn't any image quality loss, there is no blur. Also, one thing, CRTs don't need anti-aliasing, and they will run whatever resolution they want without needing to have MSAA or SMAA or FXAA or DLSS or whatever it is you have as a aliasing option in video games. So it's a bonus. So that's really great. But anyways, the next thing I wanted to talk about is Durability and longevity. You heard me right. So, CRTs are highly durable and have a long lifespan, while LCDs or LED displays may suffer from backlight dimming, dead pixels, or color shift over time. So, CRTs generally maintain consistent performance throughout their lifespan. Then we have another pros, and this is a thing, and it comes down to certain people. And um, the last pro I want to talk about is, or just list here. Jeez, I don't know what I'm saying. Sometimes I just forget what I'm doing. It's ideal for retro content. So for retro gaming or classic TV, many older video games and TV shows were designed with CRT technology in mind. So, playing retro games or watching older media on a CRT maintains the original visual feel, as modern displays can sometimes distort these older formats. And I fully agree on this. I mean, it's a personal thing at this point. Like uh, this last thing that I've listed here is just it's a personal thing. I mean, hell, there could be a movie like Mummies or Back to the Future, and they already got like a 4K Blu-ray release. Uh, but I don't know. And then there are people who are like, we don't care about the high quality. I just want to experience the movie on a TV that I watched it like 50, 40 years ago. And I can understand that. I can really understand that and I respect that, weirdly enough. And then when it comes to retro gaming, I agree. Games from the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and the even older uh, NES, Master System, SNES, and the Mega Drive, and hell, even the Dreamcast era and the N64 era, they all look better on CRTs than on modern displays. That I mean, there's this look that you get from the sprites, the way the sprites look, the way the uh, background art looks, or the waterfall in Sonic One, or uh, Shinobi looks. It makes sense. Um, why people would think of CRTs as ideal for retro content. But anyways, next one on the list is true interlaced scanning support, and this applies to CRT TVs. So CRT TVs have, sorry, don't have. CRT TVs are excellent at handling interlaced video signals, meaning 480i or 1080i, which is common in older TV broadcasts and DVDs, which is something I grew up with. Modern displays usually de-interlace these signals, which can lead to visual artifacts or reduced clarity. But anyways, that was that. I want to mention two other things which are kind of a gaming related pros when it comes to CRT, TV, and monitor. You don't need anti-aliasing. So, no anti-aliasing. Whatever resolution you run the game at, no problem. No anti-aliasing required. It looks great. No jagged edges, no jagged lines, nothing like that. The things that you see without anti-aliasing on one display, you're not going to see that on a CRT TV or monitor. I mean, I can't say much about TVs, but since they're using the same CRT technology, cathode ray tube, not technology, whatever, tube, right? I think both of them are great without anti-aliasing. But anyways, the other one is scanline, and this is a personal thing. I like scanlines, specifically physical scanlines. The physical scanlines, like the scanlines that the CRT TVs and monitors make. So that's a personal taste because not many people like scan lines. I like it both for old games and newer games, um, and it's lovely. But anyways, that was all of that. Now, when it comes to the cons of a CRT, this is where it kind of equals out CRTs with an OLED, and that is, um, when it comes to cons of a CRT, we got high consumptions of power, and this is a thing that isn't that important, and I want to talk about it or list it as the last thing in the cons list, but just thought I should put that out. Now, for those who think, oh, I don't want to pay a lot, I don't want to pay a lot of electricity bill, then okay, this is your answer. It consumes a lot of wattage. I mean, I don't know if it depends on the size, but I believe it's from uh, 60 to 150 watts. I believe is how much they consume, which is a lot for someone out there on the internet. I mean, it's pretty much kind of like using what's it called, a refrigerator, because a refrigerator, a big one, consumes about 55 or 60 watts. So yeah, I mean the calculations, how much wattage it uses in a day is different. A refrigerator. I compare it to a refrigerator because a refrigerator also uses 55 watts, close to 60 watts, but yeah, they both have different calculations. I mean, I don't know. I just thought comparing them would make sense, but now that I think about it, it doesn't. But anyways, um, the next thing in the list is uh, I'm saying list. What the hell is wrong with me? The next con is CRT TVs and CRT monitors were really heavy. And when it comes to a monitor, that's not a big deal because the biggest CRT monitor we had, I think, was what, 21, 23 inches or something. But when it comes to TV, this was a problem. This was a very, very big problem. Like, if you had a big TV, big CRT TV, it would be pain in the ass to carry around all on your own. And you had to have like one to maybe three other people helping you out to pick the friggin' thing up, to carry it around, move it to somewhere else. You know, I mean, there are situations where you have to move to a different house, different place, and moving your CRT TV is painful. Uh, you can't do it on your own. I mean, I've tried it. I moved my own CRT TV when I bought it to my own house, and it was painful. Like I was like a kilometer or so away from my house, and it really was painful. It took me like three hours to move it. I didn't have any car. I didn't have any motorcycles. I didn't have anything to use to transport it a little bit easier. I had to carry it all by myself, and I had to take a few stops. When I say a few stops, about 100 stops to rest and then pick it up and move it. Yeah, it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice. I really told myself, what the hell am I doing? That this better be worth it. That this better be worth it. And it was worth it, but then I had to, give it to someone else because it took a lot of space, which The third one is space. They take a lot of space. But talking about number two here, um, yeah, they were heavy. I'm just gonna say a few more things and call it. They were heavy, and they could, if you throw it, they could actually hurt you. Like if you accidentally threw it and it landed right on your legs, then God help you, because that's gonna be painful. And just hope that your legs didn't separate from each other, your toes or whatever. Jeez, just talking about it kind of brings me chills. It makes me feel chilly and cold. But and I'm talking about, and the thing is, CRT monitors. CRT monitors, they are also kind of a pain to move around. They're also heavy, and big, and take a lot of space. But compared to a TV, it doesn't take that much space. I'm talking about a 17-inch CRT monitor that I have, and that's still heavy. Like it weighs, I think, 20 kilograms, something like that. 20, 30 kilograms. I mean, I don't know the weight of my own CRT monitor, but it's around those numbers. And carrying it around, it is kind of heavy and painful. Also, uh, even if it's a CRT monitor that you accidentally throw on your legs, it'll still hurt you and take maybe one or two of your toes away. Just don't do it. Even if you're using one, just don't do it. Just be careful with them. So that's the cons of it. You see, that's the cons of it. Like we're almost done with the cons here of a CRT monitor. But anyways, uh, next thing in the list, I was talking about space, right? So it takes a lot of space. Like you gotta have a good place, a very big place to even think of. Oh, I want to get CRT TV to put in my room or in the wherever it is you put it. Uh, and for someone who lives somewhere in America, not me, I'm talking about that person who lives out there somewhere in America, or somewhere that is his home country and has a big house. For those people, they have no problems. They can put the CRT TV wherever they want, and they can afterwards play a lot of their childhood games on it. But that's not the case for with many people, and that includes me. I had to give away my CRT TV for a space that my parents needed. Really, they needed the a free disc to put some of their stuff, and there wasn't any because of my big CRT TV. I know there are smaller CRT TVs like those PVMs. I really do, and I talked about it in this video already. But it's just a lot of space they take. Is just, you're like, what's the point of having one? But then you think about the benefits of it for a lot of things that you want to do that are retro things, and then you jump to the conclusion, oh, it's worth it. Now look, I'm living with my family, so it makes sense. I had to give it away. If I was living all alone, I would have put it in the best place possible in this house, and I would have had space left for me. But that's not the case. That's really not the case, and I know that's not the case with many people out there who are living like me, who don't have enough space for a CRT. And I mean, it is what it is. Like, as long as you have the space for it in your house, you're good to go. So, yeah. Anyways, number 4 is magnetic interference. Now, what does this mean? This means CRTs are sensitive to magnetic fields, nearby electronics, magnets, or even Earth's natural magnetic field, which, you know, can cause image distortion, color bleeding, or screen warping, which isn't an issue with modern displays, but this is a thing with CRTs, and you can what's it called again? Degauss them or something like that. I mean, that's if your CRT monitor or TV has this feature, because a lot of them didn't, and this was a problem back then, and people were kind of I'm not gonna lie, this kind of is annoying. I had a magnet nearby the CRT monitor at some point, and I was like, why the hell is this happening? And then I saw my magnet, I picked it up, and I saw that the display kind of shifted. It still had the rainbow color looking thing, and I realized, like, I didn't realize, I remembered that, oh, CRTs have magnetic interferences, that they have these uh, things with magnets. If you put a magnet close to a CRT on the screen, anywhere around it, as long as it's close, it reflects that laser back to the back to where it came from. I think that's how it works. At least that's how I remember it being. Someone kind of explained this to me when I was, what, 8, 9 years old. But yeah, that like it's really, really amazing when you look at it and you're like, oh, this looks kind of cool, but then you remember that can kind of damage your monitor, and it's not good. I mean, if you have a degassing feature, you don't have any problems. But yeah, this was a pain with those people who didn't have a degassing feature on their CRT monitor or CRT TV for that matter. And another thing and this is a problem, because this is a con of a CRT monitor, because they really don't have they didn't have, they weren't manufactured anymore after, what, 2008, 2009, 2010, something like that. So what I'm going to talk about is lower maximum resolutions. So, CRTs cannot achieve the ultra high resolutions like 4K or 8K that are common in modern displays, while they support multiple resolutions, and the maximum resolutions again was something like 2303 by 1536, something like that. That's what I said in the in previous pages. Hang on. Oh yeah, right. So the maximum resolution that a high-end CRT monitor went was a resolution of 2058 by 1536. So it's not 4K, it's 1440p 2K in a way. I mean, 1440p did exist. I mean, 2304 by 1440 is 1440p, right? I mean, that's what I think it is. But even then, you had to lower the resolution to get kind of this good picture quality. I mean, the thing is, 1920. I mean, the thing is, if you wanted to run something that, or a video game that was that only supported 16 by 9 resolutions, you couldn't run it at that resolution. You might have only ran it on 1920 by 1080 or something. I mean, I could be wrong here, since I didn't use a high-end CRT monitor at all. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, this shouldn't even be a con. I mean, you look at a CRT monitor, you look at the display, the image quality that displays, and it still looks great. I mean, sure, I placed this in a con, in a cons list, but I don't know why I did it. It just doesn't make any sense to me now why I did this. Um, but I can see people talking about 4K and 8K a lot these days. It has become a God knows what. They're really focusing on 4K, 8K being the best, which is really stupid when it comes to CRT monitors. I mean, CRT monitors, you can have 960p, right? 1280 by 960, and then have a 1080p resolution on the other side, and you can run something that runs on both of them, and the 960p resolution might look better than that 1080p modern display. So a 960p CRT resolution, a CRT monitor that runs at a resolution of 960p and a modern display, modern LCD OLED running at 1080p, you compare them and the 960p might look better than that 1080p one. So, you know, even watching a video on it, on a 960p CRT resolution, 960p resolution on a CRT monitor, it looks great, as good as a 1080p modern display, or even better than that. Who knows? I mean, I tried it and people weren't lying, so yeah, I mean, that's true. But it's just, I'm confused why I put this in a cons list. Maybe I did this because, I mean, I don't remember. I wrote like all this down like a few days ago. Sorry, a few weeks ago. Jeez. And I don't know why that's there. I mean, it is there. But I guess we could agree that this should be a cons list in a way, because we haven't made any 4K 8K CRT monitors at all, if any, and it makes sense why I put it here. It's because of the 4K and 8K. I mean, I know people care about high resolutions, but on a CRT that's not important, because they run whatever the hell they want and they look great. But anyways, it's there. Anyways, the next one I want to talk about is now this hasn't happened to me yet. I don't know if it'll happen to anybody else who will start using a CRT, but it's eye strain. CRTs had or still have. I mean, they do exist still. It was just a problem with your eyes. Like, at a certain point in time, after a certain time of using CRTs, you can start to have eye strains. Your eyes could really get uncomfortable, and you could start having tears, which, you know, I had this problem with modern displays, and looking at a CRT, that's not the case anymore. But, you know, to some people that's not the case. Some people look at a modern display and their eyes are fine, and then they look at a CRT and they get a eye strain. So yeah, I mean, makes sense. I mean, I haven't noticed any eye strains yet, and I've been using it like what, 16 hours a day, just for this video, and just for the hell of it. So yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anything with it, like I haven't gotten any eye strains with it. Yeah, anyway, that's the thing with CRTs, they have eye strains. I mean, I wanted to put that out for those who think if CRTs also don't have eye strainings, yes, they do. Modern displays do have that as well. I've been experiencing it with modern displays, whereas on a CRT I didn't have this problem. So it could happen to you guys. You could buy a CRT and use it, and then you get an eye strain after a while. Who knows? And the next thing I wanted to talk about is radiation emission. And I wanted to talk about this because this is true. And there's no sugarcoating or anything like that. So, look, radiation emission, what I mean by this is there's electromagnetic radiation with CRT monitors. While not hazardous in normal use, CRTs emit small amounts of electromagnetic radiation, which can lead to health concerns. And in the past, it led to a lot of health concerns. And you know, this is non-existent in a modern display. They don't have this issue. And you know, the levels in CRTs are generally considered safe, you know, when it comes to radiation. But still, if you're using if you're using a computer a lot, a display, a CRT display, then yes, this could kind of be an issue. I mean, if you're gonna use a CRT monitor for the next 50 years, and you're gonna use it 24/7, then I think that might be a problem. I mean, I don't know how much radiation it, you know, a CRT monitor emits. It couldn't be, it can be too little, but again, some people think that this is a problem and could lead to a health concern. Anyway, I mean, that's people's opinion, and that's what my research has led to. Well, yeah. And then this one's like, come on, you guys are gonna kill me for this, but this is the last one I'm gonna talk about, and that is analog technology. That's a con, at least by today's standard. Look. I'm not saying analog is bad. I'm not saying analog is a con. I think analog is good for the most part. When it comes to gaming, when it comes to just anything old, analog does it better than digital. Digital is great. HDMI is really great compared to VGA because it gives a crystal clear, perfect, sharp quality, all right, which everybody likes these days. Whereas analog, you know, it's really, how do I talk about this? I mean, analog is analog, and there are many types of analog technologies, or just analog ports on a CRT TV and a CRT monitor. I mean on a CRT monitor, it's just VGA, and that's the thing with every CRT monitor, as far as I know. When it comes to TV, it's a different story. On a TV, you got analog signals like coaxial or composite inputs, or S-video, RGB, RCA. I don't know if RCA is same as composite. And then you got SCART, you know, and the list goes on. And the last one I think is a component. So there isn't any more as far as I'm aware of. I mean, I think coaxial is same as RF, right? It's the same thing. It's just a different name. But yeah, that's a problem for today, because today we don't have a computer using a computer that has VGA on it, a motherboard that has a VGA port on it, or a graphics card that has VGA on it. We have to use converters to connect a CRT monitor to our machine, or get a old graphics card like a 1080 Ti or a 980 Ti to, sorry, a GTX 900 series or a 10 series to connect a CRT monitor to it, to our computer, because those GPUs had VGA, whereas later ones like the 20 series had DVI. Again, DVI is kind of a problem, at least some people say on the internet, on forums and other parts of the internet that I've been researching for a while now. And some say it's great. You get a converter for that DVI port of your RTX 2080, 2070, or whatever you got, and you connect it to your CRT monitor, and it'll look fine. But I don't know. I mean, it's their opinion. I mean, people on the internet, you have to take their opinions with a grain of salt. At least the ones on Reddit and other forums. I mean, yeah. But yeah. Anyways, that's what I heard when it comes to DVI. And then the later cards, like the RTX 30 series or the 40 series and even the 50 series, they have no VGA, no DVIs, nothing. Only display ports and HDMI. So yeah, and you know, when it comes to AMD, I think the last GPU they put out that had VGA was the AMD R9 290, 280, something like that. But yeah, anyways, that sums up everything. It sums up everything about the pros and cons of CRT monitor and TV. I do want to clear this one up though, because I really messed up here and there in my recording session. Ancient signal is not bad. I'm not saying it's horrible or anything like that, because I never experienced something like that. I mean, when I was, young, very, very young, from, 3, 4 years old to being 10, 11, 12 years old, I was using these technologies. I was using a TV that had analog, alright? Analog signal. I was using LCD monitors that had analog signals. They were using VGAs, they were using RCAs, composite, or S-video, or those very, very varying analog signal outputs, right? I think I said it right, I hope. And it's now ancient, and it really feels weird that it's ancient, because like for almost a decade I used these things, and when HDMI came around, I wasn't impressed. I was like, oh, HDMI, another signal, another port or whatever. I didn't know about this stuff. I didn't know that HDMI was the best option or whatever. It was invented in something year or any of that. Like, I didn't know VGA was dying. So learning about VGA being dead some point about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was like, holy shit, am I getting really old? Like, dude, back in my day this was different. Like, everybody was using VGA, everybody was using composite, RF, and S-video. I didn't see anyone using component, let alone SCART. And that's because I wasn't living in Europe, I was living in Middle East, and in Middle East people have very old TVs, or had very old TVs, that was, that didn't rely on SCART or component. They more relied on composite and RC. I don't know if RC and composite are the same thing. That's why I'm separating them. But yeah, anyways, uh, that was all I had to say about the pros and cons, and yeah. Starting with James Bond, Dr. No, released in 1962. It looks really great. Even today, the movie still holds up, in my opinion, and it was a good introduction to the 007 franchise. Um, Sean Connery, his acting was pretty amazing. Even rewatching Dr. No again after 5 years, it still, it still looks great. I mean, the first time I watched Doctor No was back in what, 2013 or something. It was on a broadcast TV. Uh, but now rewatching it back in 2020 and now rewatching it on my CRT monitor, it was amazing. I didn't see any losses. I didn't see anything bad here. Everything looked great. It felt like I was in a movie theater, but I was bigger than the movie theater. It was something like that. And also, it felt like I was looking through a window. So, yeah, I felt like I was looking through a window at somebody's life or story. It really felt something like that. But, yeah, I mean, other than that, the experience was smooth. I had no issues or problems. Everything was perfect. And I recommend you guys watch this movie and every other old 007 movie. Uh, but that's up to you. Anyways, though, but yeah, that's all I can say about this movie. I did watch a lot of movies other than 007 Doctor No or James Bond Doctor No. But this is one of the movies that I wanted to mention because it's one of my favorites, and you know it's really iconic. Next up is Dragon Ball. No, not Dragon Ball Z. The original Dragon Ball, and I put anime in here. Obviously, why not? And I put one of the best ones, honestly. Uh, because I gotta say, comparing it to modern anime is just this anime still holds up, along with a few other animes that I watched on the CRT monitor. Um, but yeah, the experience was pretty great. I can actually say something here that this was one of the low quality versions. Like the size of this episode was like 80 megabytes. So it's one of those very very low quality ones. And on a CRT, there is no problem. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look terrible. It looks pretty great. Actually, it looks better than it would have looked on my laptop screen. On my phone, it did look, a bit better, which I can assume that's because my phone has a smaller screen, whereas my laptop has a bigger screen. So it makes sense why that would be the case. Um, but on a CRT, it was the superior one. It looked pretty great. There was no blur. It actually felt like it was remastered or something, which is not. It's the original quality. Not VHS quality, but the original 360 240p quality. Now, I also wanted to mention Cowboy Bebop. Now, Cowboy Bebop also looked great on a CRT monitor, obviously. Same thing as before. Again, same thing as before on my laptop screen. It kind of, you could have, kind of felt that it was low quality, whereas on a CRT you couldn't. CRT monitor, you couldn't tell the difference. And on my phone, of course, it looked good. for the most part. I think the horizontal bars kind of killed it for me. I mean, sure, I could have tried to stretch it, but you know, I don't like to stretch it. And you know, on a CRT, you don't have that problem. You don't have the black horizontal bars, and it looks great. Same thing applies to Dragon Ball as well, or other old animes that use 4x3. But yeah, so we're gonna start, with retro gaming before I go ahead with modern gaming. I know it's already obvious what the answer is. Yes, they looked great. Sonic 1 here looked pretty great. And other games like Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Revenge of Shinobi. They all really, really looked great. But, using filters didn't do, anything. When I say anything, it didn't lower the quality. It didn't feel like it was going to strain your eyes or anything. What it did was it gave it that old look that it had, the original look that it had on a CRT TV. But yeah, other than that, if I wanted to go a little bit modern, like semi-retro modern, depending on how you want to say that, I had other games like, I played other games like Call of Duty World at War, specifically the Zombies mode, because I don't have to say much about the campaign. And then there was Fear, and I gotta say these games really belong to the CRT era, or just belong to CRT monitors, because when they came out, CRT monitors were kind of still the norm, right? People still used them. And these games look great on them. Not gonna lie, World at War Zombies specifically looked more scary than on a modern display, on my laptop display. But other than that, I can say Doom was great too. The Doom 64 is what I tested because I have never played any old Doom games. But Doom 64, which is also a pixel game, it's not Doom Eternal or Doom 2015 or 2016. It also looked great. I actually ran it on a low resolution of 640 by 480, and it really looked pretty good. But other than that, there's nothing else to talk about when it comes to retro gaming. So retro gaming is solid. The experience I had was solid with retro gaming. What about modern games, though? Mafia Definitive Edition, I don't know what to say, man. I mean, it's running at a resolution of 1280 by 720. Again, the lowest resolution it could go. I did want to run it on a resolution of 1024 by 768, but it wouldn't. It would crash, which makes sense. A lot of games are moving on, towards making the lowest resolution that you can go in them, or run on them, being 720p, and I understand that. I mean, I used 720. I would have used 720p anyways, because this is a game that has an aspect ratio of 16 by 9. At least when it released, literally every screen, and even now, use 16 by 9 aspect ratios. 4x3 is kind of dead at this point. But the rest of the game was solid, and adding the noir filter kind of felt good. The game looked like it felt like somebody made a 1940s film, but it was a video game. That's what it felt like with the noir filter. So yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to say, and that was that with Mafia Definitive Edition. Now, speaking of our next title, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Now, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, just like every other game that I mentioned in this list that I played on CRT looked, absolutely fantastic. And you know, I'm showing the benchmark here because I couldn't play and hold the camera at the same time. I mean, it was difficult for me to record all of this. But anyways, the game looked great, even though it's kind of like a downgrade. People say like the graphics are actually terrible, more horrible than Rise of the Tomb Raider or the original Tomb Raider that came out in 2013. It's called Tomb Raider. What can I say? I'm just gonna call it the original Tomb Raider, which is incorrect. The original Tomb Raider came out in 1996. Anyways, there was no problem. I ran it in every resolution, including 1024, 768, 1280 by 960, whatever you can imagine. I ran it in every resolution and no problem. It still looked great, and there wasn't any quality loss. Other than there was the top bottom black bars when I ran it on the 4x3 resolutions, like 1024, 768, 1280 by 960. But running it at 1280 by 720, that was fixed, and it was great. And honestly, I really loved it. So let's talk about the last game in our list. So Counter-Strike 2. Honestly, I have nothing else to say. It's the same thing as the other games, except since the response time and the zero input lag here. Of course, with my adapter, I do have a little bit of input lag, but it's not as high as my laptop screen. It was great. It was great here. I really enjoyed the experience. I played at a resolution like 1280 by 960, and I went down to a resolution like 640 by 480 sometimes to see if I would play better, because refresh rates are important these days. And it was the same experience. Like, look, playing it on a 60 hertz refresh rate on the CRT monitor, or 70 hertz, 72 hertz, it still felt good. I didn't feel like I didn't feel the stain that I would feel with a modern display that ran at 60 hertz. It wasn't jaggedy. It wasn't tearing. There was no screen tearing, right? There was. It didn't feel like that you were playing on a 60 hertz refresh rate. And when I played it on a 120 hertz refresh rate, it felt like it wasn't 120 hertz refresh rate. It felt like it could have been higher. It felt like I was playing on a 180 something hertz. I'm just guessing at this point. And what I mean by this is, I was running it at 100. I set the refresh rate to 120 hertz, but it didn't feel like 120 hertz. It felt like it could have been even higher, but that wasn't the case. The game was telling me that this was running at 120 hertz, and I checked everywhere. It was 120 hertz, but it didn't feel like that. And with a game like Counter-Strike 2, I was like killing it. I played a lot of matches after recording. And in one of them, I swear I'm not making this up, on one of these deathmatch games, I got like 78 kills. It's not that it's not normal. It's just that for me personally, that's a personal best record, because I never got 78 kills in a Counter-Strike 2 game, and I think I'll never get it, because I think that was a luck or something. I really don't know. But yeah, getting that much kill was just it was really shocking to me. Like when I got it and I just looked at how much kills I got, I was like, what the frick did I just do? How the hell did I get that many kills? But you know, then again, it was deathmatch, so deathmatch is the type of mode where you can get high kills. So it's not that impressive on paper uh, when you tell it to somebody else, but when you did it for the first time, it feels impressive to you. I don't know, but yeah. Other than that, there was nothing else to say. The game looked great, just like all the other ones. And you know, the same thing applies for other things besides gaming, such as watching YouTube videos on it, on the CRT monitor, um, or going through the web, searching through Google, or going to your Facebook page or Instagram, or whatever it is you're using. For those who use Twitter, yes, it looks good too. But yeah, I mean, there's not much else to talk about here. I said what I had to say. Um, like I said before, it was really great. The experience was really great. And, I think this leads us to the conclusion of this video. So, in conclusion, CRT monitors still have their uses. Of course, retro gaming being one of them, as retro games like Wolfenstein, Doom, Half-Life, which is a game that I played a lot on a modern display. When I played it on the CRT monitor, it looked pretty great. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie, it was pretty great. Um, and 2D games like Streets of Rage, Sonic the Hedgehog, or you know, Super Mario Bros. And Super Contra. CRT monitor is good for those games. For those games, and games that came out in the early, in the late 2000s, like Call of Duty World at War, Grand Theft Auto 4, Left 4 Dead, Half-Life 2. Oh wait, Half-Life 2 came out in the early 2000s. But anyways, games from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s are basically great if you want to play them on CRT monitors. Now, when it comes to modern games, I can't recommend it. And that's because, look, modern games look great on CRT monitors. I'm not gonna lie. But I feel like you should buy a CRT monitor for, retro games, and just when you're building a retro computer. Um, I don't think we need CRTs anymore for modern stuff. I mean, if you wanted to daily drive a CRT monitor like I have, uh, I don't know. It wouldn't be great for you because, you need to see. Like, let me give you an example. If you, not an example, I'm just gonna say it. If you go, read articles on your computer, if you, I don't know, read a lot on your computer display, is what I'm saying basically, then CRTs aren't for that. Unless you have a good eye. I mean, if your eyes were terrible, like mine, where I have to wear glasses, that would be a problem for you. But if your eyes are as normal as they can be, and you don't wear glasses or anything, then alright, maybe you can, but you have to look carefully to see those lines, those words. And another thing, uh, some games like Resident Evil 2 had this blurry look. Uh, it looked blurry. You know, when you look at something from a distance, it looked blurry. Whereas on a modern display, that wasn't the case. I don't know if it's um, the game trying to run at the low resolution that's causing this problem, or if it's an anti-aliasing problem, or anything. It could be anything. I mean, I tried to fix it. I thought maybe changing some things in the settings would do it. It did work, but it wasn't 100%. It still had some problems. But anyways, and also another reason why I wouldn't recommend a CRT monitor, just as a normal display, of course, is compatibility to modern technology. And when I say this, is because we don't use VGA. We modern laptops, modern computers do not have VGA, and or DVI in that matter. So therefore, we only have digital ports, and modern graphics cards can only deliver, digital signals, right? And VGA is analog, and analog has been sadly dead for 7 years, I believe. Yep. I feel like the last GPU was the 10 series that had DVI, or was it the RTX 20 series? That would make it even less. What, 6 years? 5 years ago? Holy. But yeah, if you want to use one of these guys, if you want to buy one, I suggest you have a computer that's old, but not that old. I mean, if it's really old, like a Windows XP machine, it would still be great. I mean, come on. If you want to play some games from the 2010s to 2018s, 2020s, right? You better have a system that's like a GTX 1080 build computer, or sorry, a GTX 10 series build computer, right? But if you just want to play some of your games from the 2000s, when there was only CRTs and CRT monitors, then sure, go buy one of those old Windows XP, Windows 7 computers that you can dual boot, because I know a lot of people love to play games on both operating systems, just like me. And use the CRT monitor. Sorry, buy a CRT monitor for that. Just play it and just enjoy it. It's really that simple. But you have to really, really think about it if you want that or not. And also, another reason why I wouldn't recommend it uh, is space. I mean, look, it's not about recommendation. It's just I'm trying to warn you before you do it. These things take a lot of space. CRT TVs and monitors, they're really big. And if you are going to buy one, and I really mean it, if you're really going to buy one, then I suggest you know, find some space for it in your room. And if you're living in a house where you don't have your own room, then think about doing something with that desk, like that computer desk you got. Maybe put it somewhere where there could be some empty space left for something else that you can put. Like me, yes, that I'm that type of guy. I don't have my own room, so yeah. Now everybody knows that. What an embarrassment. Jeez. um, and if you don't have space, then I'm sorry, you can't buy one. Uh, I mean, that's how it goes. But yeah, you have to take a lot of things into consideration. Also, you have to buy a CRT monitor with you know uh, with a very, very old date, like produced date. Like for example, my CRT monitor was produced in 2005, which a lot of people say CRT monitors that came out during the during the year 2003, 2004, and 2005 are terrible in terms of image quality. I got lucky though, mine looks great, but as for you guys, I advise you to look at these CRT monitors, and how you can find when they were produced is by looking at the back of those CRT monitors or CRT TVs. If it's anything from the 90s and the year 2000, 2001, 2002, then you're good. You can buy it. But if it was anything newer, that sounds weird. Anyways, you don't buy it unless you want to do something that uh, includes a lot of dangerous stuff to make it look sharp and good. I don't know. There are a lot of tech tinkerers that do a lot of crazy stuff that involves soldering and everything, which I can't do. But yeah. Anyways, with all that said, um, what else can I say? Right. My comparison with the OLED and CRT, or sorry, me talking about pros and cons of an OLED and a CRT, might have kind of made it clear to some people, who are very, into computer, are very much into computers, is that, look, in this video, you all know that I wasn't talking about CRTs and just saying they're better than OLEDs and just better than modern displays. And modern displays, we're asking, modern displays, LCDs, LEDs, and OLEDs, does that include those three, or does it include only OLED? Now, if it was only including OLED, and you're comparing CRTs to OLED, like I did in this video, then of course they would be in a sort of a standoff. They're both winners and losers. It's a tie. But if we were comparing LCDs and LEDs to CRTs, then sure, LCDs and LEDs are kind of off, you know, but that's not the case, you know, and I'm not trying to pick a winner and loser here. What I was trying to say in those pros and cons list is that OLEDs are getting close to being as good as a CRT monitor. However, that doesn't mean retro games are gonna look great in them. You still need some kind of a retro tinkerer or something that are people sell. Retro tech enthusiasts sell on their market or whatever. That you can add these filters and all that stuff. When you connect your console to your TV, that's OLED TV. So yeah, or the other thing, when you're emulating these games on your OLED display, you need to find an emulator that can, add some filters that make them look as good as they looked on a CRT TV back in the 90s or the 2000s if you're a PlayStation 2 player. I can't say much about the 360 era or the PS3 era because those games, I mean, there are some people who love to play those on CRTs because they play it on CRT because Xbox 360 came out during a time when CRTs were a thing. Specifically, HD CRTs were becoming popular. But, I mean, they weren't that popular, but, what can I say? Anyways, there was another thing that I wanted to say. I watched Midnight Geek's video, and there was this video where he compared CRTs and LCDs. And I watched this very late into the video, so of course I'm not going to edit anymore. It's gonna be this long. Sorry it took this long, but when it comes to displays in general, there are times where, like, yeah, I want to play this game on a CRT monitor, and then there's gonna be a time where, like, I want to play this game on LCD. I want to play this game on this LED, or that type of stuff. So, you know, there was nothing about winning. Both, not both. Every display that you use it when you want it, and you don't compare. I mean, there are some games that just look better on LCD and LED and OLED. All three of them, and then there are some games that just look awesome on a CRT monitor. You know. So at the end of the day, everybody's a winner. Everybody's a winner here. Nobody's a loser. And this video was more about me talking about CRTs one last time, as they will fade away from our lives. The more we move forward, the more we look into modern technology, old technology that we loved, technologies that the industry cared to make with passion, will fade away. And it's really sad, because now that I've used one, I feel like they should have kept making them. I mean, they're still making, vinyls, what the hell, those big black discs that you put on this vinyl thing that plays it. It's kind of like a music player or of some sort. It's been around for, like, God knows how long, 100 years, 120 years, something like that. So, I wish they made CRTs again, and I wish they made CRTs with 1080p, which we have one, but a true 1920 by 1080, and either 4K, CRT displays. That would be great. 4K 120 hertz CRT display. That would be amazing. But sadly, we don't have those technologies. We'll never get one. In a different world, we would, but in this world, we're not gonna have that. And yeah. So, what also I can say about my experience, again, this is the second time I'm saying this in this whole video, is that I loved it. In short, I loved the experience with the CRT monitor. Even if it wasn't what I wanted to get, which was the LG Studio work, it still offered a lot for me, and I really loved it. I really love to continue using it for the many games that I play, specifically older games, because my laptop officially got old after 2 years, 2.5 years. So, yeah. I'm gonna keep using the CRT monitor until, again, it stops working. And, all there is left to say is thank you all so much for watching. And make sure to leave a like on this video. This video took a long time, and if it wasn't great, leave a dislike. I mean, I have no problem with dislikes, and this was the first time I made a video like this, so it's kind of like a rookie's mistake if I wasn't, doing CRTs justice in this video. And thank you, display manufacturers from 40 and 50 years ago, or 20, 30 years ago, however long it has been, for creating such an amazing, such iconic displays that we will always remember, and those of us who have used these will remember, and we'll never forget about them. It was just pretty nostalgia going back to this, and I appreciate that these displays existed. in the way they are, even if they're ugly, they're still beautiful and great. They're as good as I remembered them.